Hi, my name is Lee Heron. I'm a personal injury lawyer here in Florence, South Carolina. And the name of this video is the 3 biggest mistakes people make after a car accident. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you the first biggest mistake you can make after a car accident is to give an insurance adjuster a recorded statement. Now, I want you to keep in mind one thing. These insurance companies are great at marketing. They spend millions and millions of dollars a year trying to convince you they're like good neighbors, or you're in good hands, or they spend money on a cute gecko want you to think they're a great company. And that's fine and everything. They're great at marketing. But think about this. Insurance companies lose money when they give you money. They lose money when they give you money. So doesn't it make sense that if you're a company and you lose money whenever you have to pay someone, that you would hire employees that could stop that from happening? Well, that's what an insurance adjuster's main job is, believe it or not. And one of the ways they do that is after you're involved in an accident, they'll call you up and they'll want a recorded statement. Now, this recorded statement is not for your benefit. It is for their benefit. Because if they can come up with a reason, they can come up with a way that, first of all, if they can deny your claim, they're going to do that. Or even if they accept liability, even if they accept that the other person caused the accident, if they can somehow come up with a reason to deny the value of your claim, they're going to do that as well. And here's what could happen. And this happens all the time. I'll tell you a true story. I was taking a deposition of a police officer who was a witness to one of my client's accident. And we got there early at the law office, and I always talk to witnesses beforehand, just about different things. And I asked the guy, "Have you ever been involved in a lawsuit?" He said, "No." He said, "I did get in a wreck," and I was asking him about it. I said, "What happened?" Now listen to this. He said he was going down through a neighborhood in his personal car, and a driver came out of his driveway backing up, and instead of getting to the end of his driveway stopping, the driver just kept on backing into the road, and the police officer hit the guy in the back. Again, driver's backing out of his driveway, doesn't stop at the end of his driveway, police officer's in the road going this way, collision, accident. Now, how I just described that should be a very simple matter for him to get not only his property damage taken care of, but to get any of his medical bills paid for and to get any pain and suffering that he may be entitled to. But here's what the insurance adjuster did to him. He gave a recorded statement, and the insurance adjuster said, "Okay, so the guy's coming down the driveway, backing up." He said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, and then he didn't stop, and he came out into the road. He said, "Yes, ma'am." "And then you hit it." He said, "Yes, ma'am, that's how it happened." She asked him this, "Well, why didn't you honk your horn?" He said, I just didn't think about it." She said, "Okay, well, I'm going to talk this over with my boss and I'll get back in touch with you." She calls this guy back up and she says, "We will accept responsibility for the accident. However, we are going to find you 20% at fault for the accident." True story. "We're going to find you 20% at fault for the accident." He said, "Well, why is that?" She said, "Well, you said you didn't honk the horn, and if you would have honked your horn, he probably wouldn't have come out into the roadway and the accident wouldn't have happened." Now, if he would have came to me before he talked to the insurance adjuster, if he would have followed rule number 1, don't talk to the insurance adjuster, here's what I would have done. I would have said, "Do not give a recorded statement. Let me do that for you." And that leads me back to rule 2, leads me right into rule 2. The second biggest mistake you can make after being in a car accident is not contacting a lawyer immediately. Because here's what I would have done. In that situation, I would have asked him how the accident happened. I would have gotten his property damage bills together. I would have gotten his emergency room bills together. And I would have sent them to the insurance adjuster. But before all that, I would have called the insurance adjuster up and let them know that I was representing the guy. And the insurance adjuster would have said, "Do you mind if we get a recorded statement from your client?" I would say, "Absolutely not. You're not talking to my client. You can talk to me." And if the insurance adjuster asked me if my client honked the horn, I would have said, "What difference does it make if he honked the horn or not? Your driver backed out of his driveway into the road. It was clearly your driver's fault. Period. End of discussion. And if she would have pushed the matter further and she would have said, well, we think he's at fault, I would have said, okay, well, we'll just file a lawsuit against your insured and we'll go that way. And more times than not, the insurance adjuster is not going to push that matter. And if that police officer, who was he was a nice guy, super nice guy, if he would have just came to a lawyer, the insurance adjuster would not have been able to tell him that he was 20% at fault. And by the way, he accepted that. He never called a lawyer and asked if that was okay. So they sent him a check for his property damage, but it was 20% less than what his car was damaged, than the car damage was worth. 20% less. So I think he's told me his car was $10,000 worth of damage, so they sent him a check for $8,000. So where did that extra $2,000 come from? Came out of his pocket, or he had to file with his insurance company and pay the deductible. So you do not talk to an insurance adjuster. You do not give a recorded statement. And the second thing is, call a lawyer immediately. I've been doing this 15 years. I know all their tricks. I've seen it all. I know what to expect. You were just in a car accident. You may have never had to deal with anything legally. Doesn't it make sense? And I ask people this all the time. It always confuses me. When you're in an accident and you're hurt, you go to the doctor. Why do you go to the doctor? The doctor knows what he's doing, is going to treat your pain. If your car is damaged, what do? You go to the body shop to get your car fixed because the body shop knows how to fix your car. Well, doesn't it make sense after you're in an accident to call a lawyer, a personal injury lawyer like me, so we can treat your personal injury matter the way it needs to be treated so you don't make mistakes? After all, you wouldn't try to fix your car by yourself. You wouldn't try to render medical treatment to yourself. So doesn't it make sense to call a lawyer so they can help you with your personal injury claim? But that's the second biggest mistake, is not contacting a lawyer. And the third biggest mistake is thinking that just because you contacted a lawyer, a lawsuit has to be filed. I hear this over and over again, and some of you watch my other video, you know this. The thing I hear over and over again, I don't want to sue anyone. I don't want to sue anyone. People have this misconception that if you hire a personal injury lawyer like me, that we automatically file a lawsuit. We don't. And I'll tell you, I don't want to file a lawsuit. Lawsuits take time and lawsuits take money. But I'm going to tell you another quick story. Had a client. He had $17,000 emergency room bill. We sent all of their stuff off to the insurance company. The insurance company offered him $4,000. I take it back. It was $4,408. That was the correct amount. $4,408. And he's got $17,000 in medical bills. What do you think we did in that case? Do you think I told my client he needs to accept that? It was real simple. I just didn't call the adjuster back. I told the client we're going to file a lawsuit and we're going to go that route. Well, just today, we settled his case. And I was able to put $9,000 in his pocket. That was after all the medical bills were paid. That's after all the legal fees were paid. He was putting $9,000 in his pocket. Now that's a long way from $4,408 total settlement beforehand, because that's what they offered. And that lawsuit did take time, took a year. But do you think the client thought it was worth it at the end of this thing when we were able to put $9,000 in his pocket when he knew their first offer was $4,408? So the point is this. A lawsuit does not have to be filed. And if we can get your case settled without having to file a lawsuit, that's what we're going to do. But I'll tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to accept something that's not fair just to get you a quick settlement. We're not going to do that. And I would suggest to you that you never do that. I tell clients all the time, sometimes it's worth it waiting a little bit longer to get what's right than to accept something that's unfair. So just to recap, 3 biggest mistakes. Do not give an insurance adjuster a recorded statement. Don't do it. Nothing good is going to come of it. Second biggest mistake is not contacting a personal injury lawyer immediately after an accident. And the third biggest mistake is thinking that if you contact a lawyer, a lawsuit's going to have to be filed and it's going to be a long, drug-out process. It doesn't have to be that way. Now I'm going to tell you something that you probably already know. Personal injury lawyers like me are everywhere. But the thing that separates me from most personal injury lawyers is ever since I became a lawyer, one of the last things I do before a client leaves my office is I take one of my business cards. And on the back of that business card, I write down my personal cell phone number. I give it to the client and say, look, if you ever have any questions, if you ever have any problems, feel free to call or text me at any time. Shouldn't your personal injury case get that kind of personal attention? If you've been involved in a car accident, give me a call at 888-9RIC-9. It's a free consultation. If we don't get anything, you don't owe anything. So give me a call, 888-9RIC-9, and I'll make sure your personal injury case gets the personal attention it deserves.